And we are live. Today's lesson, lesson 4, is on exponents. And this may be a completely new topic for you with exponents, but I promise you that exponents are super duper fun and they're pretty easy. All right? So our essential question for today is, how can you use exponents to write large numbers? How can we use, so why don't we write that down in our notebook so that we have, I'm trying to see all of you guys. Okay, here we go. Okay, pinned. And I actually wore a very special shirt for you today for free dress. I don't know if you guys can read it. I will teach you in a room. I will teach you where? On a Zoom. You now on Zoom. I will teach you in your house. I will teach you with a mouse. I will teach you here and there. I will teach because I care. So I wanted to wear this special shirt for you. We survived our first full week of instruction, and I'm very proud of you guys. You're doing a great job, especially with all the tech issues and Zoom. So for today, here we go. Let's jump into exponents, a totally new topic. Oh, I got a question about Miss Piccinini. She's not here on Fridays, as a reminder. Okay. So let's try this problem out in your notebook, and it might be a challenge for you. Suppose you wanted to start with 5, the number 5, and then repeatedly multiply by 5 until there are 1,000 factors of 5. How would you record this calculation? How would you write this? So I want you to start writing this in your notebook now. You are starting with 5, and then you're going to keep multiplying times 5, times 5, times 5 until you have 5 written as a factor 1,000 times. Give it a shot. Start writing it down. What are we thinking? Got to be busy in that notebook, huh? Jordan, you have it already? You wrote 5 as a factor 1,000 times? No, you have to write 5 as a factor 1,000 times.
Well,
that means 5 times 5 times 5, and you should have it written 5,000 times.
I think I know a way to make it easier.
All right, well, write it on your paper.
Well,
why can't we just
write it on your paper.
Can we do division?
This is a multiplication problem.
I know, but you're asking how many times can 5 go into 1,000?
I didn't say how many times 5 could go into 1,000. I said I need you to multiply 5 using 5 as the only factor and multiply it by itself 1,000 times. So 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 1,000 times. Did you guys write that yet? Can you hurry it up? Are any of you like, really, Miss Velez, it's Friday and you're making me multiply 5 1,000 times?
Well,
anybody sitting there saying that?
I did it easier.
Who thinks I'm crazy telling you it's a Friday, we've got a minimum day, we've got free dress, and you're sitting here, Miss Velez, telling me to write 5 times 5 times 5 1,000 times. This is torture.
Well, I know a shortcut.
Anybody want to hold up their paper to show me 5 times 5 times 5 1,000 times?
Oh,
no?
Right here, right
it would
here.
be
I found a shortcut. I found a shortcut.
All right, who thinks they have a shortcut?
I do. Me and Tino.
Let me see. Merrick, let's see your. Let's see yours.
Add another.
What have you got?
But I did 200 times 5 plus 200 times 5 plus 200 times 5.
I like your effort, but that wouldn't quite work. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute, because 200 wouldn't be a factor of 5 times 5 that we're getting. I'm going to show you in a minute. You'll be like, oh.
Oh, I think I know it'll be.
I'm really confused.
You think?
5 times 5.
I know, it's tricky. Why would I make you do this 1,000 times?
100.
250.
Well, here's my clue. If you have to keep writing 5 times 5, the first 5 times 5 equals 25.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm really
And then you have
confused.
to multiply by another 5. Then 25 times 5 would be what? 125. And then I'm going to have to keep multiplying by another 5, 1,000 times. Now that you understand how the pattern goes, don't you think we're still going to be here all day writing this out?
I'm still
Sebastian,
very
you think you have a
confused.
trick?
Which one? There's 2.
Tell me what your trick is.
Oh, me. So instead of writing 5 1,000 times, how about you write 1,005 times?
Do we think that'll work?
Yeah.
Who thinks that might work?
Maybe.
No.
But
then
No.
Can I show you what 5 times 5 1,000 times would equal? Are you ready?
5,000.
You ready?
Do it.
Who's ready to see it?
Me.
I spent all night writing it out, of course.
George Mercy.
5 times.
Okay, ready? Our answer.
Show us.
There you go. This is how it would look. Does everybody see that?
I'm not gonna be able to do that.
So there's 5
You
times
wrote
5 times
all of
5
that?
times 5 times 5 times 5 times
You
1,000
tortured
times.
us.
Yes, that's
You
right.
Maybe she got a picture on the internet.
Barely anything.
No, I did type these out, guys. Whoever wrote here, can we please erase that? Thank you very much. But I did this intentionally, okay? There's a method to my madness. I wanted you to sit there and get frustrated. So there was a little bit of evil plotting here. Because if you had to sit there and go 5 times 5 times 5, 1,000 times, you'd be like, oh my gosh, please make this torture stop. I'm looking at this over here and I'm already thinking, what? What is this? Why is this not the best possible way? Are any of you looking at this like, oh my gosh, how could Miss Velez have done this?
My question is, how did it just fade in? You just like faded in. Like he just came out of the whiteboard thing.
Right. So,
Oh my god.
so this is not really ideal, right? Why?
Wave your hand at me like that.
Okay.
Why isn't this ideal? Why isn't this, well, wait a second, let me ask that first. Why is this not ideal to write this over and over? Why? Clarissa?
Well, can I tell you a way that would be easier to do it?
Well, why don't let's answer this question first, and then maybe you'll actually know our new way if you guys took a preview at today's lesson. Daisy, why? I want to know why it's not efficient for me to make you write 5 times 5 over and over, 1,000 times. Why?
I think there's always an easier way to do it.
Right.
A shorter way to do it.
What? So this way is too long, then, is what you're saying, and it's too difficult, right?
And
your hands would hurt so much writing this over and over, 1,000 times, right?
And there's a bunch of easier ways to do it.
There definitely are.
Writing
just have to
5
kind of think about it.
1,000
I'm going to show
times.
you the absolute easiest way. And here's Bitmoji me. We could write all that and then make this face. Or we could just use exponents, silly. But what are exponents? Dum, dum, dum. Well, you know how multiplication is a shortcut for repeated addition, right? Instead of saying
5 plus 5
4
plus
times,
5.
right? Instead of saying 4 plus 4 plus 4, we would say 4 times 3, right? We wouldn't write all of that out. Well, just how multiplication is a shortcut for repeated addition, exponent expressions are a shortcut for repeated multiplication. So instead of writing 5 times 5 times 5 1,000 times, we're going to write something way, way shorter, and we will save ourselves a lot of time. What? That's right.
Yeah.
With exponents, we can thank the almighty math gods that thou hath bestoweth a shortcut for writing out all those factors over and over and over, right?
We should all bow
Amen.
down to the Nintendo
Because
Switch.
exponents
This
are
kid's
going
only
to
one
be
car.
our best friend for writing out repeated multiplication. And when I say repeated, I mean we have the same factor over and over, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, over and over until I have zero breath in my body, or if I'm writing it, my hand will fall off. One of those two options are our fate for writing that repeated multiplication. But thank goodness we have exponents, and I love exponents.
I got a
So
question.
That is just a
let's take a slightly, let's forget the 5 1,000 times.
Down to
Okay,
the Nintendo Switch.
guys,
Bow down to this math god.
let's not interrupt. Thank you very much. All right, so suppose you wanted, and this one's a little bit shorter, suppose you wanted to multiply 5 factors of 4. So what's the factor you're using? What's the number you're multiplying? What's the number? I said 5 factors of 4. What's my factor? Dominic?
5.
No, that's telling me how many factors I have.
Okay, 5 factors of 4. Wait,
4?
Yeah, 4 is my factor. And what's a factor again, just to remind me? What's a factor?
Of a multiplication question?
It's technically the part of the problem which you have to solve. Like, for example, 4 times 4. 4 and 4 are the factors.
Beautiful.
So
the factor is the only number that's being multiplied, right? We don't have any other names. As soon as a number is multiplied, it's called a factor, right? If I said 2 times 3, 2 and 3 would be the factor. Yes? So if I have 5 factors of 4, I'm going to have to set that problem up how? The factor is what again? 4. How would I set this problem up? This one's a lot shorter than the 1,000, right? Anybody want to hold up their whiteboard for how they would set this up? I'm looking around. Do we have any volunteers to hold up their whiteboard? Oh, Jaden, you jumped ahead. I'm skipping your screen. Someone was looking over. I'm looking at Lenny's right now, and yeah, she's absolutely right. There's the number 4 used as a factor, and that's the only factor, right? Because we're talking about repeating. And we see it 5 times. So we did, everybody look, we did 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So we have 5 factors of 4. It would look like this, just the way Lenny had it on her board. Which number is being repeated? Which number is being repeated? Jaden?
Number 4.
The 4 is being repeated, correct? So let's write that down. And how many times is 4 being used as a factor? Because 4 is the only factor here. Do you see any other factors? No, it's just 4 and 4 and 4 and 4 and 4, right? How many times are we writing that 4 over and over again?
5.
So redundant.
5.
Kai's got it up. Yes, we're writing it 5 times. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of writing down, and I'm just feeling super lazy. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to write my number of times that 4 is being used as a factor right up here. What I have set up is an exponential notation. And we're going to go over that term in a minute. But instead of writing 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, I just narrowed my problem down. I simplified it to tell myself 4 is my only factor. There's no other factors. And that little tiny 5 there, instead of writing 4 over and over, that little tiny 5 is going to tell me how many times I'm using 4 as a factor. Question, is 5 a factor? Thumbs up if you think 5 is a factor. Use your little...
I'm not sure.
We have a couple people who think it might be a factor. All right, well, you're going to have to tell me what a factor is again. What's a factor? We just said it. What's a factor? One I haven't heard from. Ponder. Julian, what's a factor?
A factor is the number that you multiply to get a product.
Correct.
4 times 4.
So do you see us multiplying by 5 anywhere in that equation? If we're not multiplying by 5 anywhere in that equation, 5 is not a factor. The 5 is telling us how many times we're going to use 4 as a factor. When we are engaging in repeated multiplication over and over, that word repeat means we can only have one factor. And that factor is multiplying by itself over and over and over, right? So when I look at my 4, I'm not multiplying 4 times 5. I'm multiplying 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. What's 4 times 5? Shout it out.
20.
20. Now, let me tell you why saying 5 is a factor doesn't work. Immediately, look.
20.
Kimberly Velez,
Miss
you're
Velez,
muted.
you're muted.
Miss Velez, you're muted. Miss Velez.
Thank you.
Miss Velez, you're muted.
I'm aware that I was muted. That's because Mr. Stokes had to mute everyone because we were shouting out again. And he is my co-host for today. So, thank you. All right. Before I lose my train of thought. 4 times 5 you all just said was 20, right? Well, that doesn't work using 5 as a factor because 4 times 4 is what? 4 times 4 is what, Merrick?
4 times 4 is 16.
And then times another 4. Anybody have that?
Times another 4 would be 64.
Oh, wow. So just 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. That doesn't really work for 4 times 5, does it?
Yeah.
Because 4 times 5 is 20. So we only did 4 as a factor 3 times, and we already have 64. Do you see why we can't use 5 as a factor? If we want to say that this equals this, that doesn't make sense if we said 5 was a factor. 5 is just this powerful little number that says, hello, number 4. I'm allowing you to multiply against yourself 5 times. You can keep going 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, right? Instead of writing it out, that little tiny number there tells us how many times we're going to use the 4 as a factor. but only the 4. There's only, when we talk about repeating, there's only one factor to repeat. As soon as we have another factor, we're not repeating. We have 2 different factors. Repeating means it's that same factor over and over and over. Does everybody understand that? So you see why 5 is not a factor? 5 is just telling us how many times 4 is being used over and over. That's why it's an itty bitty 5, right? It doesn't get to be the same size as that factor 4. That itty bitty 5, take a look at what our lesson is called. What is that itty bitty 5 called? What is, think about it. Ponder, ponder. Mateo?
An itty bitty 5.
Mateo?
It's the name of the lesson.
And what is that? Pray do tell.
It's
A little bitty 5.
It's not called little bitty baby 5, no.
Yeah,
That's what I said. That's what I said.
It's not.
Well,
What is it
that's
called?
funny.
I'm looking for some hands. Lucy, what do you think that 5 is called? It's got a name.
An exponent.
It's a little bitty exponent. That's right. It's a little bitty exponent. But you know what? Even though it's little bitty, it's got a lot of power. A lot of power, right? Because it gives that 4 the power to multiply by itself over and over and over. So that's a very powerful little exponent. Do you guys see that? That exponent is very powerful. You guys are like, Miss Velez has finally snapped. That 5 is so powerful. Okay, I get it, Miss Velez. The exponent is powerful. It's got a lot of power because it can make the factor of 4 multiply by itself by whatever amount. Wow, great. Before you guys think that I'm absolutely nutso, well, you'll get it in a minute.
Yeah,
Before you guys think that I'm
What's
nutso,
the joke?
I just want you to repeat after me. The exponent has got power.
I can feel the
Say it.
power.
Exponent has
The
got
exponent has got power. I'm waiting. The exponent has got power.
Exponent has got
exponent.
The exponent has no power.
All right. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that the exponent has got a lot of power.
No power.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Just weighing my options here. Make sure you're with me. Okay,
Hey,
Miss
Miss
Velez,
Vel-
can we move on, please? All right. I got you.
Miss Velez,
Well-
you put how many times is?
Oh, well, thanks for correcting me on the typo. I'll fix it in the slides later. All right, so here are some terms that we need to remember, okay? So here's our problem from before. We did 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Those were our factors. We already established that, and that 4 is the only factor because when we're talking about repeated multiplication, we're talking about one factor multiplying by itself over and over and over and over, right? Okay, I got it. So the 4s are our factors. Then when we changed it into this exponential form, which was a new shortcut way of writing this, we wrote it as a 4 with the itty bitty exponent of 5. So that 4 is our home base. That is the base number that we are going to use over and over and over and over. So I think it's very fitting that its name is the base, the number that is being multiplied. The only factor in exponential notation is called the base, the home base. That number is being repeatedly multiplied by itself. Okay? Is everybody with me? That's the base. Yes? And the exponent, that itty bitty baby 5 is the number that tells how many times the base is used as a factor. And it's very, what's that word I told you again? It's very
Tiny.
what?
Powerful.
Not powerful.
Powerful.
Can you shout that out?
Ow.
Oh, it's very powerful. You're right.
Hey, don't screw with the power.
Right.
Never underestimate my
It is
power.
very, guys, it is very powerful. Yes? Are you with me on that?
We've been with you.
So that being said, can you guys hear my computer right now? Thumbs up if you heard something come out of your speaker.
Yep. Yes. I heard bump, bump, bump.
On my screen, your computer's glitched.
I know, that's because when we talk about exponents having the power, did everybody hear that? I'm still playing around with learning how to do this. Everybody heard that in their headphones, in their speakers? That's right.
I heard
What
that.
was that?
You
That was, I got the power. So that's for us to remember that, fifth graders, stay with me, stay with me. I know, Miss Velez has lost it this morning. Stay with me. But yes, the exponent has got the power, all right? Because it can make that base 4 multiply by itself over and over. Because you know it's all about that base exponent. All about that base, exponent. Sing it with me. It's all about that base, exponent. All about that base, exponent. And what do we know about that exponent, fifth graders, that I said over and over and over, and I sang it to you? What do we know? What did I just sing to you? Sing it to me.
Saber.
Sing it to me.
You got the power. You got power. You got power.
Yes, that's right. So, you know what?
You got the power.
Oh, okay. I just muted you guys, so don't. If I mute you, please don't unmute yourself just yet. Okay? And those writing on the screen, I would appreciate if you could stop that as well. Thank you. So, yes, you know, in simpler ways of saying this, that when we write this exponential form, the base, it's all about that base, exponent, and that exponent has got the power to make that base multiply by itself over and over and over and over. And there is a method to my madness, because there is a very special way that you read exponential formation. And when I read it to you, I cannot wait to see the looks on your faces, because now you will understand why I am being so cuckoo. You would read this exponential notation as 4, meaning our base, our only factor, 4 to the power of 5, which is our exponent, which gives our base its power.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can't.
That is just a special way
I still don't get it.
That's a special way that we read it. So instead of saying 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, we're going to say 4 is our base factor. It's the only factor that's being used over and over repeatedly. And instead of writing it 5 times, we're going to put that little exponent of 5 that tells us that makes that 4 powerful. 4 is not powerful by itself. It's just standing there as a 4. What gives it its power is the exponent, because 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64, and 64 times 4, we're going to keep going on. And that 4, that little baby 4 is exponentially growing, okay? And it's growing it's quadrupling over and over and over. It's alive, right? And it's alive because we have given it power. Merrick, if you could put the lightsaber away, I would love that. Thank you so much. All right, so continuing, does everybody know how to read this? Let's all read it together. How do you read this exponential notation? Ready? Let's start with the base. 4 to the power of 5. And when we say that, we're just quite simply saying 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, 5 times. I don't want to write all that out, so I'm just going to say 4 to the power of 5, meaning that 5 is going to give that 4 the power to multiply by itself over and over and over 5 times. Sweet. Okay, guys, are we ready to try some? Yeah? We see all your lovely faces. Are we ready to try some?
Yeah.
No.
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 Well, excuse me. And you are going to love it. Okay?
No.
So we just had, was it Emma or was it Clarissa who just shared with us? I think it was Emma, just shared with us that 10 was our base, all about that base, exponent. It is our only factor, and we are using 10 as a factor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Now, I just asked the challenging question, how much would all this equal? Well, let's write it out. You can only multiply 2 factors at a time. So 10 times 10 is 100. Times another 10 is how much? As I'm multiplying, I'm going to cross these out. So I did up to here so far. Times another 10, box your basic facts. 1 times 1 is 1. And how many zeros? How many zeros?
3.
1, 2, 3. So far, we've got 1,000. But we've only done 3 tens. Do you see, Clarissa, why we wouldn't get anything like 50 or 200? We're not multiplying by anything but 10. So we have to just keep going on and on. So we get 1,000. We have to do another one times 10. All right. Luckily for us, we know how to box our basic facts. 1 times 1 is 1. And count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have one more. Times 10. Box your basic facts. May have gotten cut off by now. Hopefully you guys can read it. Okay. Box your basic facts. And we get 1 times 1 is, again, 1. And how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a second. A 1 followed by 5 zeros? Is there a trick here? Didn't Emma say that 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 is 10 to the power of 5? What do you notice? What's a trick when we do 10, Maisie?
Just add 5 zeros.
Add 5 zeros and
exactly.
Also,
you could do all of this, or you could just make sure your answer has 5 zeros in it. Does everybody see that trick?
The comma is in the wrong place on the 10.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for helping me with that. All right. Perfecto. Shame on me. All right, guys. So that concludes our math for today. We're going to continue on with exponents next week. And we're going to look at exponential notation, expanded notation, and standard notation. And before you get overwhelmed by that, think of exponents as being our shortcut. So it's going to be pretty easy writing these all out, and you actually just did all three of those. You did exponential, expanded, and standard in that problem we just did as a little preview for next week. All right, guys, I will see you next period. Actually, I will see you